Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the American Go Associates broadcast of the 21st LG Cup Finals. Tonight we are going to watch Zhou Ruiyang 9-dan professional versus Dong Yifei 9-dan professional. I'm your host for this evening, Badit Baduk, and I am joined by the AGA's very own William Shi 1-dan professional. Hi, William. How's it going?
Hi, it's good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I've been watching this game and been super confused the whole time, so I'm really excited to jump in. I have a lot of questions about all of the crazy fighting, so I'm pretty excited to get started. So what do you want to do? Do you want to start at the fight that we're at now? Do you want to start in the opening?
So I think I will start off in the opening, and then we'll head into the sort of the middle fighting part where the game gets really exciting.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, let's jump into it then.
Yeah. Okay. So as we can see here, Black starts off by sort of approaching White's corner, right? And normally I would think Black would like to protect his corner. This is quite popular these days.
Right, I think AlphaGo's been playing that a lot.
Yeah, and just this kind of whole making your own moyo kind of games, they're real exciting as well. And they, end up in a lot of fights because one player ends up having to invade. And, in the end, we have a lot of fighting going on. But in the games where, Black just simply approaches another corner and White also chooses to approach, because if White responds, Black will probably go back and protect his corner. So the exchange in the bottom left corner is probably, Black feels good about making these kind of exchanges, right? It's just sort of like a pro mentality, right? So you don't want to really follow your opponent's moves.
Okay, so that's why White immediately decides to approach this corner.
Yep. And this opening has been played a couple times, and has been played a lot, I think, a couple years back also, actually. So there's a couple of variations. One, Black can play a two-space pincer. This is a bit more loose, right? Okay. It doesn't really force a response from White. So in this circumstance, White can play elsewhere. White can still play on the right side around here. That's still possible. Or White can play on the bottom side. These are both possible variations. Normally, if Black plays the one space pincer, it usually forces White to jump to escape. Because if White plays elsewhere, White chose to play here in the end. As we can see, Black sort of gets a really nice attachment here.
Oh, okay. And so when the pincer's one space further away, it's not nearly as effective? Is that what happens?
It just forces White to respond, usually. But
okay.
White didn't respond because pros can play it however they like, but usually White would like to respond. And I think there's been a couple of games where different variations has been played of this Joseki. And sometimes White can pincer, and we usually end up in a pretty complicated fight.
Okay. And so White decided not to do that this time?
Yeah. But I mean, White, this has been common where White plays on this side and decides to extend. This is also quite popular. But usually in this circumstance, White will like to exchange this extend, and then so this leaves some aji later on, say here. So White doesn't have to play here right away. White will probably approach, exchange this, and this will be a slow game, right? Because everybody has their own sort of little territory.
Okay, so it's not nearly as fighting, not as much fighting in this game.
And that's why White players these days like to play this kind of style, because the komi is quite big. So most pros like to play White. Some really famous pros is like Ke, who really loves to play White.
Right, his record as White is considerably better than his record as Black.
Yeah. So we'll just go forward, and here in this case, White usually can't respond to this right away. if we play sort of the wedge, it can lead to a really complicated fight. And this fight might not be the best for white. Simply because this cut doesn't work, right? White's captured. And so sort of this kind of variation can be quite complicated. And, you know, if white really wants to take the corner, it's big, but the thickness is also quite big.
Oh, so in this case, the wall would probably be better than the corner. That seems like a pretty strong wall.
Yeah, and white has to respond, right? Because it's a really big odd, you know, sente. And this will probably be good for black, right? Black can just pincer. And this extend too is too narrow. It's too close to the wall.
So even though it makes a base, that group is still pretty weak since it's right next to all those stones, right?
It will be under attack from like this direction. It should be really painful. So white has to play extend 2 here and force a response. But white decides to play the bottom side again. Probably, in my opinion, I think if white decides to make a base again, like I said, play in this direction or whatever. Sorry, you know, escape. This will be too low, right? White's sort of all forced on the 3rd line. And it's kind of like an imbalance, in my opinion.
Oh, so in this situation, you would prefer black because he has more potential, or?
It's just white's overall position is quite low. And yeah, the potential is not there, and black is very thick.
So that's why white ended up coming back to defend the cornerstone rather than saving the one in the bottom right?
Yeah, and white sort of figured if black protects the corner, as in the actual game, the potential on the bottom is pretty much reduced by the stone that white just played. So later on, white can sort of play here, right, and reduce again.
Right.
So the bottom is not as big for black. And when white plays here, there's no reason for black to respond.
So why is that? It seems like black spent so many moves attacking the P3 stone. Why let it come back to life now?
Because if black protects again, this exchange is not ideal for black. It's kind of annoying, sort of. And white feels good about making this kind of exchange.
Is that because
it's sort of like it's also like a pro mentality, I guess. You know, they don't really want to respond to your opponent's moves, right?
Okay.
You know, if I keep following where my opponent plays, in the end, I will have no sort of advantage on the board.
Oh, right. Okay.
So black will play the big moves, right? The board is very open. There are other big moves to play. So this is not urgent, and black finds the left side more urgent. Now, white gets this exchange on the bottom, but black still gets the corner. So this exchange, black gets to protect the stone on the left side, while white gets to sort of take the bottom and sente.
Oh, okay.
It's even for both. And white protects his corner, which is also quite big. There's nothing debatable here. Now black starts to get a bit aggressive, which is okay because black is quite thick. As we can sort of see here, white's bottom 5 stones isn't really settled yet, right?
Which group? The M3 group?
Yes.
Okay, so because it doesn't have 2 distinct eyes yet, just has the one?
Yeah. So if sort of white plays elsewhere, as in the actual game, black forces again. And now the only way for white to live is to sort of make 2 eyes like this, right? Or white has to escape. And the escape is quite painful. Black would be happy to attack white to gain some profit.
Oh, I see.
But if white wants to, you know, sort of settle and white plays like here, this is too narrow, right? It's too over concentrated for white. The spacing.
So this invasion is a really good spot for black to start a fight.
Yeah, and white has no way to really cap black, right? This way it won't work because black can just sort of capture the stone and force his way out.
Oh, even though those stones are right there, he still can capture it.
Yes. And again, if white tries to play like this, black can just extend one. And it's not really a good position for white. So like this, black can escape. And white's in trouble again.
Okay.
So this is really painful. And white doesn't want to respond. So white goes on the offense, basically. And attacks
So
the left
chooses
side.
the counterattack here.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw this, I said, "Oh man, what's going on? This seems complicated. This is complicated, right?" Or
Yeah. But I think it's a bit too aggressive for white.
oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's okay, but you know, I don't see a good move immediately for white, but it's quite perhaps maybe just the one space wouldn't be too bad. It's kind of annoying, so perhaps maybe white should have played here on the bottom first. Perhaps should have invaded right away. That would be good.
Oh, okay.
This sort of gives yourself, an attacking position right away.
Okay, I see.
Not now, like this would be an overplay for black, right?
Right, because black is the one now who's under attack.
So black sort of lacks a move here. So when black attacks, white goes on the counter attack. Seems like a bit of overplay, but it also seems to be like the only move. Because white's saying you can try to capture my bottom side, right? And black's gonna have some difficult time. So black needs like one move, 2 moves, and another move, right? 3 moves to completely capture white. And that's not really worth all the effort. So white's saying sort of you can come capture me, but you're gonna spend a lot of moves and it won't be that efficient. So all black really wants to do is sort of gain some profit from the attack, because it's really hard to kill the stones.
Okay.
But white doesn't want to spend time there either, right? So white attacks instead. And black keep forcing white to respond, but white just doesn't respond.
I see that.
So in the actual game, black plays the left side is really big now, right? So if black plays here, this is too small. White can just attack the left side. This is too small for black.
Right, and it's still not dead. So anytime white could just come back and make those live kind of at any time.
Yeah. So for black plays this side to settles, and white sort of forces black to respond because this is a really big move. If sort of white decides to fix the bottom, black later on has this kind of big approach in the corner.
Oh, yeah, that took a sizable chunk of the corner territory away. I thought on the top left, when white plays c14, I thought, like, when I was learning this game, I suppose I'm still learning this game, but I remember very early on being taught that the right shape there is c15, not c14. So why c14 in this case?
Clearly c15 applies more pressure. This is more secure for the corner.
Okay.
But in this case, white really wants to attack these 2 stones, right? White will probably choose this variation. And this just creates a lot of, potential for white.
Ah, I see. So letting there be some Aji in the corner is worth it because the real goal here is to pressure the stones.
Yes, and the Aji is there, but locally it's still dead for black if black plays the 3-3. We probably all know this kind of this is like a basic life and death shape. Black is actually dead in the corner.
I think I've seen this one before, but I imagine we probably have a viewer or two who has not seen this really cool Kosumi. That's just a cool looking move in general. But
yeah, this is the killing move. Normally if we play like this will be a ko, right?
Ah, okay.
So, but locally it's dead if white plays the peep on the Kasumi. So Um, White wants to apply pressure, and if black responds, then white succeeds, right?
Oh, okay. Right.
And
So he
white
did a.
can play elsewhere. White probably will play here to be more greedy.
All
No, white
right.
will say, if you want to kill me, you can try to kill me. I'll just escape, right? As long as you can't kill me, you don't really gain profit.
I see.
So white doesn't want to play here right now. If white plays here, black's not going to respond because white doesn't have a follow up either. Black will play somewhere else, and white plays on top. Black will just try to make two eyes. So
It's sort of an interesting sort of stalemate there on the bottom. It's not really big enough for either player.
yeah, and when there's bigger moves on the board, they'll play elsewhere.
Okay.
And if you're playing first, you really don't know where to play. But if your opponent plays something else, you know right away where you want to respond. So black tries to, again, go on the offense instead of just defending, right? If you just defend, this is too slow. So black tries to take care of, use the Aji here. And white basically forces black to escape and sort of make a fight here. Because white also had the choice of, connecting and letting black live. But clearly this wouldn't be, beneficial to white. Because if black lives, then white really doesn't gain anything at all.
Okay. So
Right.
it's better to start a fight here, because that's what the stones are there for, or?
Yeah. And, if black lives, then white doesn't really have a base. White doesn't have any territory. So white would rather, make black escape so black has a weak group.
Ah, right. Okay.
And here white actually lives, right? And black has a weak group now. And, they both fight in the middle. Now, if black can choose to, capture the stone, but white will sort of attack the top side. It could be quite dangerous for black. This is an uncomfortable position to be in.
Okay. So that's why black opts to save this one first.
Yes. And there's quite a big difference between connecting here. If white connects, black just connects everything. Then this is clearly a success for black because the top side is safe and the bottom side is safe.
Okay.
And white ends up with a weak group, right?
Right. So what's the difference then with the hanging connection?
And this is better shape in general because if black plays here, white can sort of make a double tiger's mouth.
Okay.
Otherwise, this is a really painful, move, right? This shape in general is really painful.
Oh, right. There's no good way to fix that.
Yeah. So this is a better shape move, and later on, white can sort of force this sort of cut here. Now, I personally think this is an overplay right now. As we can see in the actual game, it sort of doesn't work really well.
Right. This whole fight was kind of insane.
White could probably just play the top side first, using this cut first.
Okay.
Depending on how black plays, we can sort of see the response. If black just cuts here, then white can just take the top side. This is okay for now. Right? If black decides to connect everything, white can capture the top side. But white sort of wants the territory. Which is okay, but this cut is just too aggressive. And, black responded really well with this move. And white doesn't really have a response right away because white can't really connect. If white plays here, black can push here and cut.
Oh, that seems pretty dangerous.
Yes. And if white plays here, right now, black can just cut. And, there's like a ladder here.
Oh, does that ladder doesn't work for black, it doesn't seem like.
Oh, it doesn't work for white right now.
Oh, right. Yeah, it doesn't work for white because there's a black stone over there. Right.
So white again. realizes is that's why white plays this ladder breaker. This is sort of like a random move that we saw, but you know, it's clearly a ladder breaker.
Right. Okay.
Black has no way to respond, so black follows, and then now white can play this cut. So black doesn't choose to cut now, right? The ladder doesn't work.
Okay.
So now we sort of see white get a center thickness, and then cuts here. But I think, in my opinion, the exchange here up top, A and B, is not very good.
Better for black?
For black, yes. And what white got instead is white got all the exchanges on the bottom, right? All these exchanges. Sort of white got this thickness on the bottom for the top right side.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think it's really comparable. If we go back before, where I demonstrated white just cuts, you know, white doesn't play. White instead just simply plays here instead. Oh, whoops. If white just plays here instead, it's completely fine. There's no need to play. You know, white still has a thickness, and white can just use it. Now we see the right side, you know, the exchange isn't here, right? The A and B exchange.
Oh, so this is a little bit easier for white to continue then.
Yeah, and the exchange really gives black a lot of thickness. And, you know, just these small exchanges can be quite detrimental, in my opinion. So, you know, as we go on, white does sort of get the top side, right? And I think the Atari might be a bit too aggressive.
So what should you do instead? Just extend?
White can just extend. And black, if black chooses to extend, there's still a variation here, right? We can still play this. And black is locally captured.
Really?
Yes. So this is, you know, it's a triangle 3. But we can't really, black can sort of escape like this, which is sort of iffy, but it's playable for white because black is still under attack.
Okay.
So white would be okay with this. So if white just extends, I personally think black might not have the, you know, might not be brave enough to extend.
Okay.
It's kind of a courageous move, I think. So black will choose to connect these two groups to make them safe, right? And then white can, you know, continue to play elsewhere. But the Atari sort of gives black a sente here by the Hane, and black takes care of the middle. Now, because there's an Atari sente, right? As we can see here, if white plays here again, black can Atari here. Now, this allows black to live, right?
Oh, so now it's a different... Oh, I see.
Now it's a different story. So, again, white has to take first. If white extends, black can Atari. Now if white takes, black just captures, right? If white connects, black can also capture. Now, locally, clearly, this doesn't work for white.
I see.
It's a very interesting sequence.
Yeah, there's a lot of Aji in there, but just it doesn't work.
So white, I think, should have just extended here.
Oh, okay.
It's like black plays here and white just plays here. That makes no sense to me. White should just extend normally. If it's a sente move, black has to connect. Now white can attack, right? This is a lot more reasonable for white. White was being a bit too greedy. White was sort of hoping black to play here, and now white gets an extra stone to capture. And you know, this is too idealistic for white. It's too greedy. White could just be happy by playing like this, I think. This isn't bad at all.
Okay.
You know, in a position like this, black doesn't really, black would have to capture the bottom side, and then the territory will be even, but white gets a lot of territory elsewhere, right? So this will still be an even game. There's a lot of Aji on the bottom as well, so this is okay. White's a bit greedy here. And so black counterattacks. Black decides to take the outside as well with this move, right?
Right, so all that work that white did to make the thickness is not working anymore either.
Yeah, and black takes. This is really big because there's an Atari that follows. Right, and this Atari is such a bad shape move for white. Right away, we see after black Ataris, white has no eyes at all. No eye shape.
Yeah, this is where the fighting starts to get really crazy, right? Because now this white group looks like a huge dumpling.
Yeah. So we can see the groups up top here. The marked stones, they're really over-concentrated. Right? So all of white stones is sort of doing nothing, I think. Right? And these stones are really, really, white didn't gain anything.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
As we can see, black is really efficient. Black lives here. Black gains thickness. And black, basically destroyed all of white's territory on the bottom.
Oh.
And also, white on the bottom side is about to be pretty much, captured. So after white basically captures one eye here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black lives. If white wants to live, white can live locally, but the corner will be captured.
Right.
So white doesn't want to do that. White wants to escape. So locally, it's only one eye, and white gets really greedy again because white has to. If white just escapes, the game is like pretty much over because white has no territory at all. Right.
Right. Okay. So.
Whereas in the other variation I showed you, white really had a lot of potential in the center. Now this completely changed. So compared to like the other variation, sort of, wait, sorry. Let me find it.
Oh, the variation where he just extends?
Yeah, just extends. It's a huge difference. So this is not good for white. And black sort of just, black doesn't want to respond. Black just plays the big moves, and because black is in a lead right now. White really.
What's about the score right now?
If you just count the points, white really only has the top left side, right?
Okay.
That's maybe about 20, 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
And black basically has the rest of the board. Black has the top right corner. White needs to respond. If white responds, black can just, extend here and attack. And, black already has almost 25 points on the bottom right corner. The top right corner is also, maybe 15 points. The left side, both players are about equal. And, black's has the advantage because black's attacking. And white has two weak groups. Right? So this is black is just playing it simple. And white, white's trying to, let's see. So in the actual game, this is what happened.
Yep.
And white's trying to change the game around, right? White's not playing passive. Whereas black is just making territory, securing, proceeding with the lead. And so white really wants to do something and change the game. So white chose to attack from the Tengen.
So besides being Tengen and being everyone's favorite spot to play, why this shape in particular? Is there a reason for that move over any of the other sort of loose attacking moves?
White wants to attack from the center area, this area.
Mm-hmm.
If white attacks from the bottom side, black can just escape to the open.
Okay.
So you want to attack this direction, right? From the middle. From maybe here. The precise move can't be decided. because it's really hard to know which one's the best. But
Okay,
this
so
sort of
there's
just
not like a general rule for picking a move like this.
right. It's probably intuition and a lot of feeling about the shape. Because if black escapes here, this is a nice shape move for white. Right.
Oh, okay.
So white might be thinking something like this. Keep attacking, making territory up top, forcing black to escape into white's side.
Okay. So there's some shape meaning behind where you pick these sorts of moves.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But black just counterattacks, which is sort of the best idea here, in my opinion. Because if you just simply extend and follow, white's quite happy to just, keep attacking. And if white gains more influence in the center, it could change the game around. Because white's territory is not really that behind. It's just that black's thick and white has weak groups. The biggest weak group.
So
the biggest weak group is clearly this one, because white only has one eye here.
Right. So if white can even the score and try to get some black weak groups, then that can only help him.
But black just simply counterattacks, and white has a lot of weak groups, to be fair.
Yeah, this fighting is pretty intense.
And white obviously can't sacrifice this stone. This is too big, because this group is not alive, right, on the left side. So white has to take care of the left side first. And black separates white. This is Sente, right? Because in the actual game, white gives it up, the corner up, which is very big. So black sort of decides, I want to capture these stones. And white sort of just, has no choice but to live in the corner. Now, white first cuts. This kind of looks good, but it actually doesn't work. Because white could have Atari'd, but if white Atari'd, black would just play on the outside. And this is Sente.
Oh.
And black can just push in here. And white's right side is too weak, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was wondering about that. Why not exchange that Atari first?
And if white tries to, this is too painful for white. It's too over-concentrated. It's still weak.
Oh, and it looks like black will be able to make some points there in the center around the P6 area.
Exactly.
Oh. Yeah, I was really confused why he didn't make the second either, but that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Black would just give it up.
So white has no choice. Just play aggressive here. So black has to take care of this group first. There's no way, I think, for white to beat black in a Liberty race. They probably read it out. This would probably be white's best choice for a Liberty race.
Okay.
But I don't think white can win the Liberty race. Hold on, actually.
It's a pretty critical juncture.
Yes.
So I think the decision to capture this stone is probably pretty long, pretty deep.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, black can't win the Liberty race, right? If black tries to kill, white can just capture black.
Okay. So eventually black will run out of liberties before white does?
Yeah, white has more liberties here.
Oh, okay.
So black lives, white also lives. If white lives, the corner is dead, right? As we can see.
Yeah.
Now, white is now behind on territory for sure.
I was also curious about why A2 over just capture.
Because this A4 is Sente, right?
Or I meant A3 rather than A2.
Yeah, so you want to play the extend instead, right? If you play here, this forces a ko. and eventually black will connect, right? Because you don't want to cope for white. And now really white might be worried about this kind of.
Oh, okay. So there could be some Aji that just makes it so that there is no Aji in the corner.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, in both cases you end up capturing it. I see.
This is a better capture, of course, right? You make an eye out of the capture.
Oh, neat.
And now white plays really aggressive. And as black, and when you're leading, you want to play really safe.
So you think black is still leading it even at this moment, even after white made some good shape there in the center?
Yeah, because white didn't really gain anything.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
We can see that white gained some thickness in the center, but black captured the corner in exchange.
And that thickness is just not worth enough?
Yeah, and clearly black has more territory. The thickness, there's a lot of Aji here, right? It's unspoken of, but there's Aji here, definitely. White is still quite weak in the center. Black and Hane here, lots of sort of holes in the moyo. And black just chose to play the safe moves to take the corner and let white try to make the territory. Right, black is sort of securing the bottom. This is a really big move. So if again here you don't want to follow white. If we just follow white, then white plays all the big moves, right? And all of a sudden we find that our lead becomes super small.
Oh right, yeah, because now the center is a little bigger as well.
Yeah, if we just keep following our opponent's moves, like if we play a really safe connect and all that, white all of a sudden catches up really fast. So the lead is quite small, but black still has to play pretty, tight and think about where he wants to play. So in this kind of late game area, black really has to think about how to consolidate the lead into like a victory.
Okay, take away some of the complications and find a way to the finish line.
Yeah, so when you're in late game, you want to play your sentes. Make sure you get those because they're really big. And then you want to, ensure you're always counting, making sure you have the lead. And you want to think about the exchanges. If I play this exchange, will I still be leading or will I be behind? Because, at this point of the game, a change in lead could probably be the last change. And then, it's really important.
Okay.
It'll decide the game. So black again. So this is another exchange, actually. So black captures the bottom, right? While white plays the right side. White sort of says, if I respond here, it's kind of small, and black can get another big move. So white plays elsewhere. And white, in general, he knows he's behind. He just wants to sort of mix it up. It makes black make some errors, force some errors into black's play. Because if you're losing and you just follow whatever your opponent plays, you're going to still lose in the end. You kind of want to tanuki, play elsewhere.
Try to see if you can inject some more complication into the situation.
Exactly. So black captures the bottom, and white sort of adds more complication on the top side. Again, if black just follows, black can't follow too much because white, well, sort of. So white first takes away the eye, right, with this move, and white attacks. If black plays too passive, just wants to connect, and then white all of a sudden makes all this territory up top for free.
I see.
And white can just play the other big moves, and all of a sudden this game is very close. You don't want that. So black knows there's a big move on the right side, right? Around S7, right? That's really big. Stones. So black wants to get sente up top and play the right side. That's black's only priority right now, because the top and right is big, right? If white plays the right side, black will get the top side. If white plays the top side, black wants to get sente and play the right side. But if you let white have both, then that's not acceptable for black. So black uses the cut to gain a sente eye, right? Now black plays this side. So here, the black still is trying to maintain the lead. It looks like black eventually connects back.
Okay.
White makes territory. Black captures the bottom. This is all end game sequence. This is like a really big move, right? It's a sente move for black, so you want to play all your sente moves first.
Oh, okay.
In end game, a reverse sente is really big, and the center is kind of small in the end game. You won't really want to play the center last.
Even this big set, it seems like it's a lot of points, but I guess not as much as the side, huh?
I mean, if white cap protects, the corner is way too big right now.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And there's a lot of aji, right? Like a double attachment.
Oh, so that's why white ends up responding.
Yeah. So if white responds, black plays this. This is kind of like sente as well, because you want to protect your center. So white protects. Yeah, and this is black. The top side is really big, but this is also a bit big. They're both debatable. My end game is not really. I would think the top side is slightly bigger.
Okay.
Simply because of white response, black can jump again.
Oh, right.
And then follow up with a.
And even get that Hane. Nice.
So that's really big as well. So white edge attaches, and black plays here. So this end game is sort of the ideal sequence for both players.
Okay.
I can just count the points here. So the top right corner, we have 10. It's about 17 points for black. The bottom right side, we have
I have a guess.
What's your guess?
I think 18.
The bottom right side?
Yeah, for black.
So when we count it, we have to imagine this sequence, right? Because it's all sente for white.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course you have to imagine that.
So
I did not imagine that, but yes,
so
I see it now.
If we count it like this, it's about with the 3 stones included, it's about 20 points.
20 points? Okay.
And then it's the 5 stones that's captured. 30 and then 31. So we can count it. Sorry. We can.
Oh yeah, okay. I stopped counting at a certain point. Okay.
We can count like this, right? So that's 21.
Yeah, right. So I also kind of forgot, even though we watched them die and you explained how they died, I kind of forgot that those stones are just toast. There's no life left in them at all.
So we should probably count like this.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
Yeah. So 45, 55.
And while you're counting up, I'll remind everyone what we're doing here. This is the American Go Association's broadcast of the 21st LG Cup Finals. I'm your host this evening, Badit Baduk, and I am joined by William Shi, 1-dan professional from the AGA. And we are watching Zhou Ruiyang, 9-dan professional, versus Yifei, 9-dan professional. All right, so do you have a count for black?
So on the bottom side, black has 43. The triangles are 43 points, and then the dead stones, we can go by. This is 53. This will be 63. 65 points on the bottom side.
Wow. Okay.
And then the top side, we counted about 17 points. We can do 15. I think 15 is better because white can sort of play N18.
Oh, okay. So there's some end
there's some end game there. We don't want to worry about that right now. We can just sort of count 15 up top. So on the bottom is 65. The black has 80. Now on the center and the left side, it's 6 points on the left side.
Okay.
The center is 9 points. It's 3 points, so it's 9 points. So what black has close to 90 points. Now we
Even
can,
with 7.5 Comey.
yeah. Now we can count white, right?
Right.
So since it's white's turn right now, we can sort of count it like. I think white won't have enough.
Yeah, I think black is pretty far ahead, actually.
So we have to consider the hane right here is sente
Right,
for black.
right. Okay.
So this is how we want to count. And when you're counting points, you always want to count a bit less for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And here this is your aji for white. But the areas where it's not played and it's sort of sente for your opponent, you don't want to count that.
I see.
Right? There's a hane here also, right? So if white gets to play first, white will play A, right?
Okay, yeah.
But if black plays
there first. Oh, okay.
Black will play the hane.
So you just kind of count it as you just don't count the points for either side, right? Since it's sort of okay.
That's better. So I think we just make a count here. The top left side is about 30, 40. It's about 40 points.
Okay. And plus another 30-ish in
Uh,
the center.
10. I would say 25, maybe.
25? Oh, okay. So it's a pretty significant difference.
I don't think it'll be 25. Maybe pushing it.
So
and the left side is white's definitely behind.
So that makes sense because I just heard from our game recorder, Dylan Smith. He'd let us know that in fact, black wins this game by resignation.
Yeah,
and that is what's that?
At this point, the game is over in my opinion because it's black's turn to play.
Right. I think there's really only a couple more moves here. I think. Yeah.
So we can just follow a bit.
Yeah.
And see what happens. Oh. Yeah, so this is the
resignation. Yep.
So we can sort of go back and give a brief review of the game.
Sure.
So the opening is quite common. There's been a lot of variations that's been tried. Why this variation has been tried? Usually we don't like to play the the push sort of. We don't want to play this, right? This exchange. Usually we consider it bad, but it's been tried. Some players think this exchange is okay for white because it makes
Hold on, just a second. I feel like I'm losing. Yeah. Okay. I'm back. Sorry.
Okay. So this sort of white sort of thinks this move makes black's move a bit floaty.
Okay, so the F3 move makes M4 seem out of place.
Yeah, no, but I still think it's good for black. Oh, sorry, the extend is too big. 1 sec. Yeah, this extend 4 should be extend 3. Yeah, but I still think it's good for black. And you know how opening is always on. The move ends always. There's new innovations in what kind of sequences to play.
Right. Okay.
And this is quite not a typical opening, right? In more typical openings, we have black who is playing first, making his own shape, ideal shape, right? Mm-hmm. Black wants to make an ideal sort of, ideal moyo or whatever. Black is playing his first, and white is sort of countering that. But recently, white, just doesn't play against the flow of black.
So this is sort of a counter-attacking, sort of aggressive, new, modern thing.
Yeah, and that's how really the opening has been evolving.
I also, someone in chat said that a whole lot of this game was actually kind of a replay of an AlphaGo game.
Yes, and I was about to say AlphaGo really has a huge influence right now on top pro playing. Because before the game more relied on your shape, your intuition about shape, right?
Yeah.
if you play a lot of games, you sort of think you sort of recognize the shape. That's nice, right? Like why you should extend 3 in certain cases, extend 2 in certain cases.
Mm-hmm.
That's based on shape. But when AlphaGo sort of came in, it's a lot of ideas have changed. We all of a sudden find that sometimes we play the ugly moves, but it's the best move.
Right.
Like the shape is bad, but it's still the best move, right? And you know how AlphaGo is all about percentages. That's what pros
Right.
are looking
So
at now.
whatever causes more games to be won.
Yes, exactly. And nowadays, pros like to play copy games that they see in practice. Like when they train with their national teams, they play scrimmages against each other, right?
Oh, so they yeah, I think Myungwon was talking about that before. How they end up learning these openings so deep because they just play and play and play these really complicated sequences in the opening.
They just play a lot of scrimmages, and these end up getting published in the database. And other pro players, like from Korea, they can copy the Chinese players, and and they play online. And the online community is so big in opening development, especially.
Wow.
So before we used to think the opening was sort of set in stone, right? We learned this opening and this Joseki, but now it's just really open.
That's pretty exciting. And this is like a super modern opening.
And just like a last point, it's just when pros are playing a real tournament,
Mm-hmm.
there's a time setting, and so you want to play what's familiar to you,
Right.
And then up to the mid game, you want to spend all your time on that. That's where you want to spend like all your time because that's the most important part of the game.
Yep.
And the end game, yeah, as long as you have Byoyomi, you shouldn't be able to make a mistake. It's pretty hard to make a mistake. And considering you have a lot of like time suji, right? You can make exchange to gain more time. So pros really make very little mistake in the end game. And so they spend a lot of time, pretty much all their time in the mid game. And in the opening, it's very, very fast because they all know the sequence.
Right, because they've been practicing it online with each other for months.
Yes, exactly. And, if we spend too much time in the beginning, the pros feel like they're at a disadvantage.
Mm.
So in this opening, it's probably played a lot. I've seen this kind of variation before. And I personally seen this variation also.
Okay.
So this is very popular. And, before we had this kind of variation also, where black pushes like 5 times. And there's a lot of like old variations. But recently, probably this has been played very often online. I would think the online community is really where the pros are actively exchanging ideas. So this is probably, played really fast, the opening. And it's already been thought out. And they play a lot of like repeat games. Like the first 30 moves will be the same. And then really this is where if a pro makes like a secret analysis, he'll play the first 30 moves the same. Then he'll pull out like a new move.
Oh, okay.
Right. That could be exciting as well. Maybe things like this has probably already been, analyzed before. Like this wouldn't work for white, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they've already looked at all this stuff ahead of time, so they don't have to...
Yeah. So if white Hanes, black is sort of captured locally, but white is captured on top.
Mm.
And if white plays like this, right, white is still captured. So this is probably all like analyzed ahead of time. So they don't waste time thinking about this kind of variation.
Okay.
So interestingly, I think in the North American pros, we all have like the same mindset, right? When we play against the pros in China or something, we don't have the time, right, for all this kind of analysis. So we just play random moves, sort of. We play against. We don't want to play what they know. It gives a bit more percentages, I would say that way.
Oh, okay. That's very AlphaGo of you.
Yeah. It's just an interesting idea when pros play. It's a lot of mental, in the game as well, which is I find very interesting. Now, moving on forward, white sort of plays a bit aggressive here, but I think at this point, white really let black connect, right? Black is all connected. Black is alive. Maybe not alive yet, but white doesn't have to really attack right away because the corner is not taken care of. White is thinking about cutting black. There's always an option to cut black, right? But you don't have to do it right away. You can sort of test the waters, right? As in the actual game, if black decides to hunt it, you can sort of exchange this and cut. Just use this first.
Before diving right into this very aggressive cutting variation.
Yeah, once you start the cutting, this is already, you're pretty much starting this option, right? You have to continue with it. Once you continue with it, you have to make this bad exchange. And black sort of doesn't have to play the sequence, right? Black can just connect. So you kind of waste a lot of energy for nothing. And this exchange isn't really the best because once this is exchanged, we find that white is actually captured here because of these moves, right?
Right. Yeah.
So white can't escape. This doesn't make sense. So if white doesn't play these moves and just plays the top side instead, it's completely okay. Let's go back. Yeah, white doesn't have to make these exchanges. If white doesn't make these exchanges, say white plays elsewhere, black can't capture like this, right? White can still escape.
Oh, but once black gets really thick in that area, then... Yeah,
so if black can't really capture right away. There's a lot of holes and gaps to use. So white really touching this marked stone is not a good idea, in my opinion.
Okay, then.
So white goes on this path of no return, basically. White keeps having to play all these forced moves. Wrong sequence. And white goes all out, basically. But black lives, and white doesn't really gain anything. Right? This is not a good choice at all for white. White probably should have played the top side first. Or just extend. At least at this point, white should just extend. We take this stone. If black captures, that's fine. There's some Aji left, right? This is probably Sente. And white can, start looking elsewhere first.
Try to develop something in the center.
Yeah. Granted, the bottom is a lot of points, but it's not over for sure. White has a lot of influence.
Yeah, well, in that way, white only loses one of the groups instead of losing the corner and the side.
Yeah, so white gets greedy here, but black plays really well, captures the center stone, and now the whole thickness changed.
Right.
Like it shifted. It went from white being really thick to black having all the thickness. And white didn't gain anything at all, in my opinion. Right? Black lived. And white doesn't gain anything from this whole exchange. The whole group in the center, this big dumpling shaped group, is still not secure, which basically means that the 5 stones are dead, right? These 5 stones. White doesn't really have the time to make those work.
Right.
So white wants to make it live. But black just plays safe. Black takes the big moves, exchanges the big moves. Now, if white plays, grabs the big moves, keep on playing, eventually white has to find some time to fix this group, right? If white doesn't, bam, black will just attack. And,
so
white will have trouble.
That kind of explains why white focused on the counterattack. Rather than just being under attack, he figures he may as well attack from that group. Is that the right idea?
Yeah, exactly. So white sort of counterattacks, but black doesn't really buy it, right? Black knows you're weak. If you're weak and if you're still attacking me, I'll just attack back.
So black just says, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And black basically fights back, right? Black could have played safe and just captured.
Right. Well, this counterattack ended up being really severe. It netted in the corner.
Yeah. But if black plays too safe like this, then white will just counterattack black. So you can't be too defensive.
Okay.
So now black has to live, right? If black escapes, then white escapes as well. So this is white's ideal like scenario. So black just counterattacks because white's weak. And in the end, white has no choice but to sort of sacrifice the bottom corner.
Man, that's big.
Now before we see white had, a lot of territory sort of. Now it's just completely changed. Black has all this territory, right? Because the bottom left corner is huge. And white at this point, I think the game is probably over. Because there's not a lot to play left.
And black just has so many points.
Right. Black just plays really easy moves. Black takes the corner. This is a really easy move. White cannot cut. White cuts, black captures. White has no choice but to give it up. Right. Black doesn't play those like complicated moves. Plays the easy moves. And if you play here, I'm not going to follow you. I play my sente. I capture my stones. Right. Black, in his mind right now, basically, he's just thinking about two things. One is the top side, and one is the right side. Whichever scenario it is, if I get one of the other, I will win the game.
So this is sort of, he thinks A and B are Miai to win then.
Yeah, basically. So White, obviously, in his mind, is thinking, I need both to catch up. So White plays aggressive and tries to get that sente. All right, White's playing really aggressive. Again, if Black plays safe, I want to play really safe and don't die, but this is too big. So this completely changed the game.
Right. So that's why
Black just gets the sente and captures the side. And now this game is essentially over for sure.
Wow.
And there's nothing left on the board that's debatable at all.
So what do you think of this this Dong 9-dan? I mean, he was, I think, 6 or 4 dan before he made it to the finals, and I guess when he made it to the finals, they promoted him to 9-dan. So he's kind of
I think he was like 7 dan before, because he played in a semi-final. In the final of the BC Card Cup.
Oh, right, in 2013, I want to say, or maybe 2012.
I cannot remember who he played. It was against a Korean professional, but he lost.
Oh, okay. So that got him a big promotion, and then this one, getting to the finals here, promoted him to 9-dan because this is a big international tournament. This one, so
yeah. So I think the rules in all the countries are if you win an international tournament, you become 9-dan.
Okay.
Automatic. If you get 2 runner-ups, you become 9-dan as well.
So he was going to be 9-dan once you made it here, no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. So if he wins his 9-dan, because he already has been the second place before in an international tournament.
Yeah.
Right. But if you just get a second place one time, I think it's 7-dan.
Okay.
Promotion.
Okay.
So he became a 9-dan automatically, which is good for him.
Yeah,
and he won the first
game. Exciting. Yeah. Well, and I mean, this is a pretty decisive victory. It seems like it looked like. I don't know. Maybe White just overplayed too hard, but it seemed like he played really, really, really well. What do you think?
I think
pretty good job.
Zhou Ruiyang has always been in top form. He's always been a top pro in the Chinese, sort of rankings. But I think this game is a bit off for his caliber.
Yeah, well, and especially these two just played, I think, a month ago, and Zhou ended up winning that one. And actually, in the last 2 months, his record's 11 wins and 1 loss. So he's been
he's definitely is the favorite heading to this match for sure.
Yeah, so that's exciting that Dong took the first game. Then that's very exciting.
Yeah, and he's always been sort of on the low side since that loss in 2012. So he's trying to make a recovery, in my opinion.
He's just I need to get that title.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
You know how one title could really change things for a player.
Oh yeah, sure. Especially a big international one like the LG Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be exciting to see what happens.
Yeah. So do you have any final comments on this game? Are you ready to wrap it up?
I think I'll wrap it up here, and I think it's great to do this kind of commentary, and I hope you enjoy future commentaries with other professionals. We'll give you another perspective.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. This was awesome. We have actually quite a few people that we want to thank. We're gonna thank our game recorder Dylan Smith, and then our folks in the background making this happen, Travis Pitchford and Andrew Jackson. Big thanks to you, William Shi. We are so glad to have an American professional come and represent the AGA and give us some fine commentary. I have a couple announcements for you guys. We are working, the AGA broadcast team, we are working on producing a whole mess of AlphaGo reviews with Jenny Shen, Stephanie Yin, Michael Redmond. We got like a whole bunch of people working in the background to make a bunch of videos for reviewing the 60 new AlphaGo games that we have. But in the very nearest future, we will be back on Tuesday to bring you the next game here in the LG Cup Finals. And I believe that we will be joined by Stephanie Yin.
Yep.
So,
all right, thank you.
Yeah, so that's all we got. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you all next time.
All right. See y'all.